Single with Jeanette
and Tracy. We are not relationship experts or sex therapists. We are two people navigating the world as single, independent feminists, having honest conversations with other singles in today's device-obsessed culture.
We hope you'll join us on this journey as we navigate the ins and outs of singledom.
Hi, everybody. I am Jeanette Bonner, your host of #Single. We are broadcasting from ITVFest, which is the Independent Television Festival here in Manchester, Vermont. We're very fortunate that #Single has been a official selection of the festival this year in their inaugural podcast competition. So we have a really exciting opportunity to actually record an episode here at ITVFest. So for our two guests for today's episode, I have with me two incredible filmmakers. My first guest is my friend Caris. Caris, thank you so much for being on #Single with me.
Jeanette, I'm so just happy to be here participating on your show. Thank you.
Yes. And then we have as our voice of the patriarchy, Mr. Jonathan. Thank you for being here, Jonathan.
Why, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
So we are going to dive right in. Both Caris and Jonathan are single, as are the requirements for being on #Single, the podcast. Imagine being both a filmmaker and single. I know, what are the odds? I'm asking myself the same question. So Caris and I have decided today we'd like to talk about expectations.
Yes. So I think that when I was thinking about what to discuss today when you asked me to be a part of #Single, that what occurred to me is usually in dating situations and when you're meeting someone, we come with some inherent or predisposed expectations.
Absolutely.
And I think it's hard to get those out of your mind and your system based on your past experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
So expectations are set because of what's happened or what hasn't happened. And there's excitement, there's disappointment, and things kind of rotate all around this bubble of expectations.
Well, where are you at in your dating journey?
Rock bottom. No.
Oh, you are in the right place, my friend.
It is just, being an actress and a filmmaker and being single in New York City, a city as large as that, as many other people can relate to across the country. It's not the easiest place to date. And I went through...
Wait, hold on. I want to back that up. Why do you think that... So we both live in New York City.
Yes.
So why do you think that... Do you think it's hard being a New Yorker, or do you think it's hard being in our industry being a single person?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I often don't put, relative to dating sites, I usually don't put my profession.
Why is that?
Because there's so many expectations around...
That you're crazy?
That there's a certain level of... demand that the industry
Neediness.
has. No, demand the industry has so people know that time is limited.
Oh, your schedule.
But there's also, I wouldn't say neediness, but there's also, if you're driven, if you're female and you're driven, or because of people associate both actors and actresses with, selfish, crazy behavior.
Yes.
So there's all of that stigma around our profession. And not that there isn't for, when I see Wall Street executive, there's all of that
Absolutely.
Stuff. And there's stuff with doctors and lawyers, and so there's...
And if you live in New York City, full stop, you probably are going to be crazy anyway.
Or in one of those demanding...
And or needy.
Right.
And or egotistical. And or you have a busy schedule.
Or in one of those professions.
Yeah. But this doesn't make sense to me, because if all of these things are technically marks against us, or if they are not positive qualities for a relationship, shouldn't all of the people that don't work in the normal 9-to-5 lifestyle suburban minivan, we all live in New York City together, so we should all like each other? Like all the weirdos default to the alien planet. We should all just date each other.
It is an interesting little island, New York, but I don't always find that kind of relationship where people are all liking each other because we are all weird and have demanding schedules.
So do you try to date outside of the industry?
I do, a lot. But where I'm at with things is that the day I have found, and Jonathan can maybe, I don't know if later comment on this, but the primary way I was trying to date was outside the industry, and if I was meeting people in the fellow film or theater people, but the dating apps and the dating sites is where the rock bottom comes in, because they're just so prohibitive to really getting to know someone before you get to that date. And,
yes.
And there's such a rush to get to that date because people are it's like Instagram life now. Everyone wants everything quickly and has to be done yesterday, including dating. So there's no kind of time the conversation does not want to be had, it seems, and then you get together and it's like, okay, we have to decide quickly, do we like each other or not, because I want to move on to my next swipe.
Yeah.
And am I swiping left or right? And where are we meeting? It's just so rushed, and it's so, for me, it's been just not a good experience.
You think, and so you think that is because of our online kind of device culture that creates that kind of immediacy of behavior.
I think so. I mean, there's just, when you're looking at a picture and you're swiping or you're scrolling, and before the swiping apps came out, I was doing online dating, a decade ago, unfortunately, to admit.
Did you have to send in a VHS tape of yourself?
No.
I'm kidding.
Didn't start that long ago.
10 years ago.
But
did we have telephones?
The photos and all, but before the swiping apps, and you're looking online and then the problem is now everything is so rushed, and then it was such a which might be a moot point now because no one uses those anymore, but or fewer people do. You have to the profile is extensive. It's like filling out a new constitution. And you have to vet. You have to be vetted with all your pictures, and so you load the thing. You make it a really great profile, what you think, and no one is really looking at what you've written. They're just looking at your picture.
Yeah.
And if they're attracted, which is what we do as well as women, but there needs to be a little bit more, okay, who are you? What are you about? And it doesn't seem to, the swiping apps don't seem to allow that kind of interface.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What would be your ideal way to meet someone, if not in an organic way? Like if you had to use some sort of form or system to meet someone.
I think the next thing I'm looking into is I don't want to pay heavily for a dating service, but
like matchmaking.
Yeah, but try to connect with something like that, because then men are being interviewed and women are being interviewed, and then someone is matching and thinking, okay, this is someone who has like a skill or a talent around that.
Yeah.
Like that's something in their skill set, and they're like, oh, I'm good with people and I'm good,
Which gets rid of that like judgment quality of like, no, maybe, no, yes, okay, not sure.
Right.
Kind of behavior that lends itself to the online swiping.
Right.
Apps.
And so for in terms of expectations, there's that topic I wanted to just address.
Yeah.
Because I think that now that kind of let's get to know each other, it doesn't happen, and women tend to want to move a little slower and men want to move quicker just based on what's, our who we
DNA.
are, I think. Yeah, perhaps. And I think that as a woman dating, I have to kind of pull back my expectations that might not be the culture I'm in, especially in New York. And men may have to kind of, meet us in the middle of what can I do then to make that happen for her too. Because what I'm finding, my point is this, what I'm finding is that even if I say, I really don't want to get to know you texting for 3 weeks, I'd like to have a couple conversations and then we can meet, that kind of thing. It always ends up the guy starts texting me, like all through the day. And
really?
I don't have time to
send them my way, girl, because I'm like, hello, are you there?
No, but it's like,
are you still there anymore?
Walking around.
What happened to you?
And the text, just because there's this different kind of connection. And now that we are living in a text culture,
yes,
that's where a lot of the dating is happening, through texting. And I couldn't be less interested in that, because I don't have time to stop on the middle of Fifth Avenue or running to an audition and text someone back about my whole day or respond.
Are you the kind of woman that you like to do the phone call before the date?
Well, at least to get to know each other a little bit. I'm not saying I don't ever want to text with him, but I don't want it to go on for 3 weeks.
Have a pen pal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I've been in some of those situations. There was one time where I texted a guy for an entire month, and then I realized I don't think he's ever going to actually ask me out. So I made some kind of cute comment of like, man, this has been fun, but I wonder if we're ever going to meet. And still, it didn't make him say, oh my God, you're right. It's been so long. Let's go out. And after an additional week of that, I finally had to call it and say, you know what? I think you're just texting with me because you're lonely. Which is okay. We're all freaking lonely. But like, I'm not here, like I said, to make pen pals.
Right.
I would like to meet eventually.
So it becomes... Absolutely. And so it becomes like an easy barrier, I think, the whole texting thing of let's text first for 2 weeks and then figure out if I don't have time for it, and B, the guy is either holding back or not sure, and I don't have time for that either.
Sure.
You know?
But there's a happy medium, because you said you also don't like those things where the guy matches with you and then within 24 hours or 12 hours is like, let's meet, when are you free?
Exactly. So there's got to be, so I'm saying that with the caveat that we also have to understand that texting is part of our culture. So there's got to be some sort of, common ground of this is a good way for me to get to know you, and this is a good way for you, and he would say, this is how I like to work. But the extremes are the normal right now. And it's just, that is what I'm having a hard time with, kind of settling down with, okay, this is how dating is working now, and I hate it.
We don't want you to hate dating. I mean, we all hate it, but it's a love-hate relationship. It's difficult, and it's uncomfortable.
I hate those aspects of it.
Yes, absolutely. So have you had any, bad dating experiences, shall we say?
I've had both good and bad dating experiences, and even good dating experiences where you realize chemistry's not here, and you're a great person, and I just don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, that's kind of average and normal. That's not what I'm fishing for.
Yeah, but no, bad dating experiences, plenty.
Give me the juice, Caris.
Plenty. I mean, and also just funny, like awkward dating experiences where, from these sites you meet someone and you check things out and you have a conversation and say, okay, let's meet. And you show up and the guy literally had pigtails, like at the top of his head, pigtails, like a 12-year-old girl.
You were like, is that like a misrepresentation of what?
And I thought he may have come from
filed under that?
A costume party. And I said, this is the first time I'm personally meeting this individual. And I walked in and I looked at him and he looked ridiculous. And I kind of laughed and then realized that he was seriously wearing this hair like this. And I don't even know if I said hello. I just said
no.
He said something, and I sat down, and we started talking. I said, I've got to acknowledge, you're in pigtails.
And a small pink dress, but the pigtails are weird.
And he's like, oh yeah, I have a niece, and she sometimes plays with my hair, and I just left it like this. And I said, you're meeting a woman for the first time to potentially date, and this is your choice. I mean, and, kind of joking about it. And yeah. And we continued the whole date with him in pigtails. I could not take this seriously. He actually thought that this was cute or funny, but it was bizarre.
Yeah.
And not cute and not funny, because he was weird. And it just made it worse. And just like, I'm wasting my time with someone who's made a choice that's just like freakish. Like,
so what is your, because I want to bring this back to like expectation. What is your expectation for a first date?
And I'm not saying you can't be fun, but like, if someone shows up in a clown suit or something with a nose and a horn.
No, tell me.
Obviously. Then obviously it's not going to work.
Red flag. No, but I'd love to hear what you, as a woman who runs her own business and makes her own work and is self-sufficient and has been dating for a while, like what would you like for a first date? What would really just like get you going?
You know what?
Tell me, like set up tell people.
I have to answer that question for myself because I think it's been so long that's happened that I don't even know anymore. I think
like what would just blow you over?
Show up with some flowers, man.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I mean, if we've had one or two conversations and there's a connection and there's some excitement around. I mean, dating, it to me, you go through that phase of excitement when you're still getting to know each other before all of your stuff starts flying out and his stuff starts flying out, and you settle down into realizing that you're two people that you're going to have to work around and deal with and really accept and see for people, and not like dating heaven. Like this is the answer to my dreams, which it never is and which it shouldn't be. But there's the aspect of fun and a little bit of romance and surprise that I think would be great to show up with flowers, show up and surprise me and say, you know what, I know we were going to meet for coffee, but let's do this instead. What do you think about that? Someone with some ideas around who has thought about, okay, I'm interested in dating this woman, so I'm going to put some thought into, this might be fun.
Well,
she might enjoy this.
I think you catch on a really important thing, because I complain about this all the time. For me, I ask them what they would like to do almost as a vetting process, because how you respond to me is how, not for nothing, I'm seeing how you're going to date me going forward. So if you say something like, let's just get a drink at a bar or something, I'm like, oh my God, it's year 3, we're dating. And you're like, honey, what do you want to do on Friday night? I don't know, let's just get a beer or something, right? Like if you can't set up a high expectation on your first day of meeting me, I just think it's going to trickle down from there, right? Now, I've gotten some pushback on that because people say, well, Jeanette, no one knows if they want to spend that much effort on you yet because they haven't met you yet. So a guy on the first date is going to be like, let me see if I like her. We'll just get a drink, and then I'll put in some effort later down the line if I like her. But I agree with you that it should be like a top-down theory where you should like set up high expectations.
Oh, I'm not saying that I want to go with, I'm saying surprise me. I don't want to have overreaching expectations, because then you might set yourself up for disappointment.
No, I agree with you. Like, don't take me, like, hey, here's my private jet. I'm going to take you to the Bahamas overnight,
I'm just saying
that'd be nice.
A little element of surprise or just
intention.
Some thought has gone into, I'm going to meet this person and we're going to have a good time and we're going to get to know each other, but let's make it fun, because it's the last dating experience I had, I'll make this quick. It was evident to me that he wanted to do I got to get to know you quick. So first date, and then
make a decision,
and then okay, I want to see you again. So I want to do, what's your schedule like, from 2 days from now? Well, I was on a work jag and going to another festival, and so it was impossible to schedule the time. And he became increasingly less interested. And he also was out of town twice, and has a family, has kids, not married, and so he had a lot of obligations too.
Yeah.
And there wasn't this understanding that, listen, we're both busy, we're both in a certain age range now where things are moving fast and there's a lot of moving parts. We have to kind of negotiate around stuff, but it was all about how fast can we go? And there was no element of that. Let's just take a boat. Let's go for a walk in the park. Oh, hey, why don't we try this instead? Interesting dating or curiosity.
No, I think we hit on, did I say it? I'm so smart. Or maybe you said it. I love the idea of like dating intentionally.
Yeah.
It's not just like, let's see how many women I can meet in a month and maybe one of them will be okay.
That's exactly
I like
what
the
I'm
feeling that
talking about.
like, I like you, I'm interested in you, I chose you to meet on a Friday night, I'm going to set up a nice date for us, and then, I like, a woman wants to feel like you picked her and is not just like the 20th person you swiped right on.
And he, her, and and vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, that I am interested in getting to know
who
you are.
In you, yes. I would love at this point to hear a male perspective on the expectation of the first date. So let's check in with our voice of the patriarchy.
Yes.
Jonathan, you've been so patient and so quiet, sitting there in the corner listening to me and Caris, but I know you have some opinions about this. So how do you feel about first date expectations or just intentional dating?
Well, first off, I love the phrase intentional dating.
It's good, right? I just coined that.
It's amazing.
Copyright it.
So, and just like you were saying, on both sides, like everyone wants to feel like they're important, or everyone wants to feel like they were chosen.
Of course, yeah.
So that said, there's so many different expectations that it's hard. Okay, as a guy, it's hard to show up on a first date to a coffee shop or something like that with flowers and a suit, and you're like, I'm going to be the perfect gentleman, yay! And then she's like, who is this creep? Oh my
You're the
God.
guy with the pigtails.
We're not getting married. Like, this is a coffee date.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, and it's also when there's based off of online profiles and whatever's happening, and depending on how long you guys have already been talking, or at least just from my own personal experience, I have so much stuff going on that I don't have the time to sit there and text somebody for 3 weeks. So because even if people can be so wonderful through text, sending gifs and emojis and all the stuff, and you're like, I don't even know what they are, but they just make me feel great, and they're sending me all these funny things. And then you meet them and you're like, this was wrong in every sense. Like, whether not even just on the attraction level, but just how you guys connect or how I connect with them. And I'm like, okay, I would rather go from, whether it's swiping or whatever, go from swiping and then incorporate something based off of a mutual interest. So whether that's a hike, if we already established just based off a profile, which is, I like adventures, or I like this, or I like that, something that is easy and respectful for both of us to be able to get out if we wanted to. So a coffee shop, a hike, anything else where it's you know what, no dig on you, no dig on me. If it's not working, it's not working. Let's take 30 minutes, let's figure it out, let's audition, especially as actors and filmmakers and stuff. Let's audition this real quick and see if it deserves a callback. Then from there, for the callback, then I'll bring in my producers.
Oh, okay.
Then I'll make this like a Friday night. Then I'll make this into, okay, cool, let's do flowers. Let's step up. Let's make this more interesting. Let's see what else we can collaborate together to make something more fun. But in the beginning process, at least for me, it's, I don't have a lot of time to be out there dating and meeting a lot of people anyway. So if I'm going to meet somebody, it's, let's just take it 30 minutes. Awesome. If it works, cool. Let's set up the next thing. Otherwise, you're busy. I'm busy. You have 20 other people that you're texting right now because you can swipe right on everybody, and then you can have 50 simultaneous conversations, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And who wants to do it? I don't. So it's, how fast can we move to the app, to some kind of simple meeting to see if it even works, to then let's take it from there.
It's such an interesting, see, this is like totally Mars versus Venus, but whatever, that cheesy cliche of like the way that a woman expects sort of a first date to go. And like, but I hear you, there's validity to that as well. You don't want to put all of your eggs in the first basket if within 10 minutes you're like, oh man, this is not the person I thought I was meeting.
Well, yeah, and what I was saying is that you have some conversations and you feel like you are interested in the person. I'm not saying show up in a tuxedo with a white horse, outside of Starbucks. That's not,
It's not a bad idea.
Well, let's be honest. Why hasn't that happened
mariachi
yet?
band playing. I mean, it's just, what I was saying was sometimes an element of surprise, if you feel that there's some sort of chemistry, is different and nice,
Yeah.
I get the whole let's meet for 30 minutes. Yeah, because listen, if someone shows up in person and both of you are like, oh my God, no. That's, it could be 10 minutes and you're both out of there.
Yeah.
I'm saying sometimes it is nice to have a little bit of, raise the bar, just have a little spontaneity, something, some ingenuity, because time after time, the meeting the guy for coffee for the half hour is boredom city. It's like an interview.
Sure.
And just, I don't know.
Jonathan, do you have any expectations that you feel like as a man have not been met on a first date or in the dating culture? Don't talk about sex. I'll kill you. You were like, damn it.
Well, no, I mean, I don't give it up that easy. So it's not something that wouldn't have been it. No, expectations are interesting. What have been my expectations?
Or disappointments, if you want to rethink that.
Yeah.
Anything that you feel you particular have been expecting but been disappointed in not receiving.
The disappointment has come from me with interacting with somebody, and whether that's like I said, trying to go from whatever app or friend to the texting to even a phone call, because even though my voice is all screwed up right now, but you can get on a phone call with somebody after texting for 24 hours for a simple conversation to say, okay, do I want to listen to their voice for the next 80 years, right? Like, there's a texture, there's a something, hearing somebody laugh, like one of the more beautiful things about any kind of a partnership. So if that's if you can get that, and then you're like, okay, you know, they've got a sexy voice, or they just have a beautiful, it doesn't even have to, it's not about sex, but if they just have a beautiful voice, something that isn't like hi, you know, whatever. So what
sure, you meet those women all the time, Jonathan.
So what can be disappointing is like you have this great stuff, you feel wonderful, and then you meet them, and then there's this overcompensation to try and battle with the masculine and feminine. And the overcompensation of a girl feeling like she needs to be a girl instead of, I thought we already established that we like each other and we're people. So it's, and I don't know if you guys, like people in the room listening and stuff, know what I mean by that, but for guys, they can overcompensate by this like bravado, like, like, yeah, whether it's the old school, like masculine.
Yes.
Or whether it's the girl like, oh my God, like, you, like.
Over flirtatiousness.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we, it's 2018,
Just
be
be human
normal.
beings.
Yeah, just be a human being.
Just trying to connect.
Like, we already talked on the phone. That's already like, we're in postcoital right now. So let's just enjoy hanging out with each other. So that's been my biggest disappointment, is that misleading quality for me. And then just saying like, just show up.
Let's just
show up.
Be your damn self.
Yeah.
Be a human being.
You're
God
here.
damn it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, on that note, I feel like we solved all the world's problems, don't you? A little bit? I feel really good. Thank you both for being my guests on this very special episode of #Single in the mountains here in Vermont. It's been so fun to hang out with you at the festival and see your work, and thank you for contributing your beautiful opinions on your really challenging single journeys.
Jeanette, thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
very
such a
much.
pleasure. Thank you.
Till next time. Bye, guys.